Once you've had the opportunity to set up your Pear Deck, you're ready to go. Please note, in order to present in Pear Deck as an interactive experience, you'll need to use the add-on itself, and there's a green button that says Present with Pear Deck. What will happen is it will take that presentation and jump things over to peardeck.com, where you'll be administering your session and you'll be keeping your information. We took care of the setup of peardeck.com at the beginning of this webinar. When you physically get set up for your day, you'll be hooking your device up to your projector like you normally would. What may be different for you is that instead of mirroring your display to your projector, meaning that your projector and your desktop are looking the same thing, we'll be extending your desktop to the projector, and your projector will basically be a second monitor. In order to get that set up and understand what that means, please click on the resource document link that's in this slide. When we're ready to go, what will happen is we'll click on Present with Pear Deck. This will be a green button within the add-on. This will give you all the bells and whistles and interactive experience. If simply select Present like you normally would with a slide deck, well, then you're just going to have the PowerPoint that you normally would be doing. Ensure that your add-on is installed and open, and click on Present Lesson. It'll take a moment for everything to load. And what will happen now is peardeck.com will be the host that's actually guiding this whole experience. A pop-up will appear, and it'll instruct your students to go to joinpd.com, and it'll give them a 5-letter code. Students can then go ahead and join. In the bottom left, you'll see how many students have joined, so just keep an eye on that. And then you'll also notice where it says Open Teacher Dashboard. I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment, but when you click and open this, you'll drag this back to your desktop, and you'll be able to administer and run everything with your class. While that's going on, you'll be able to then present and interact with the students. This code will always be in the top right-hand corner, so if a student does come in late for whatever reason, the student can join and jump into the presentation wherever you might be. While you're actually presenting, you're going to be seeing a teacher presentation tool in the bottom of your screen. You can be able to see which slides you're on. If you have any notes that you wanted to type in, you'll be able to see it on your screen, but the students won't see it projected. You'll be able to get an idea of how many students have responded to whatever question that you've had. You'll be able to show the responses on the screen, which means that at this point in the teacher dashboard, you'll see every response that a student is making with their name on it, but the students won't see it. There'll be a little hollow star next to each student's name, and if you choose to click those, you then present only the presentation or the answers that you want students to see. So maybe you want to choose a really good answer, an okay answer, and one that needs improvement. When you choose to show the responses, it will not show a student's name. It will only show a response. So that way you can constructively talk about work without really putting a student into an embarrassing situation. You have the ability to lock a screen. So when there is a time to interact, students might be jumping in without really listening to the instructions. By locking the screen, you put them on pause, and then that way they can't type until you're ready for them to do so. In the little corner, there's actually a little triangle, and if you click on this, it'll give a timer of 30 seconds, a minute, and 3 minutes. And so when time's up, the time is up, and this can also help you move things around. If you'd like to do a question on the fly based on a presentation, you can click on the new question. And then when you're completely done with your presentation, you can choose to end it. The dashboard is a really useful tool, so that way you can see what students are thinking and what they're doing. And here's some views of what it would look like. Say, for instance, you had a slide with a multiple choice or a short answer. You'll be able to see those students' responses. If you'd like to share it, you can go ahead and click the star. You could also have a view where if every single student has a tile on a screen. This could be a useful way for you to see how students are doing. If students are doing any kind of drawing and interacting, you can see all the student responses all together using this little stacked diamond icon. So this way you can get a whole class view of how a class is interacting with a text or a reading or a picture, which could be useful too. When you are completely done and you want to end your session, you would go ahead and name the session. Here's where you want to make sure you put in maybe the class period or the date, so that way you know which version of this presentation is which. And when you're completely done, you can also choose to publish the student takeaways. What that means is students will get an email of a Google document with all the slides that you have in your presentation, along with their responses. In a big class of 38, this might take 15, 20 minutes before they receive it because it needs to be processed. So this could be a good way to send students home with a presentation and then come back with that sitting in their inbox so that way they can access it. The Pear Deck website would be a place for you to go back and check out the sessions. So you just go to peardeck.com and sign in. You click on sessions and you'll be able to see the different types of things that you had. So maybe with this Spanish Block 1, maybe you didn't finish the presentation. You can go ahead and reopen it. Student data is saved. You can go back to the dashboard where maybe a student in the middle of the period yesterday had an interesting take on a question that you had and you want to go back and review it a little bit. You can do that too. If you want to get a better feel for how students were doing in one class with this particular type of problem, you can check it out here as well. If you'd like to use the additional things like the student paste, you can go ahead and click that in this three-dot area. Another way for you to access your Pear Deck lessons is actually in your Google Drive. In Drive, you'll see a folder that's called Pear Deck, and when you click on it, you'll be able to see some subfolders for things like takeaways, vocabulary lists, presentations, and exports. By clicking on these subfolders, you'll be able to get back to what you were looking for in order to present it or edit it later.